So, good morning, everyone. We have here, we're in Bloomfield Township at the Bloomfield Township Library. We've got about 10 or 15 people in the room here, and then we have many people on our webinar. So, welcome to the NCRO, the National Chrysler Retirement Organization annual seminar on Medicare 101. Information for pre-65 and 65 plus. Over the last number of years, we've done this as a Growing into Medicare seminar for people who are in their early to middle 60s as they start transitioning and losing Chrysler insurance and moving into Medicare at age 65. As you all, I'm sure, know, that number of years ago, Chrysler made a policy change where once you get age 65, Chrysler no longer provides any sort of insurance whatsoever. They do provide some benefits called an HRA, which we'll go through in the presentation, but you as an individual, whether you or your spouse, and again, when you hit Medicare age, you and your spouse are handled separately and not as a group. But when you turn 65, either one of you, Chrysler says, been nice knowing you, and now you have to go on the federal program called Medicare. So Medicare, unfortunately, is incredibly complicated, where when you were with Chrysler and there were maybe 2 or maybe 3 options that you had to pick, now that you're, when you turn 65, there are many options in Medicare. So what this seminar is intended to do is help you make that transition from corporate insurance to Medicare. But over the last few years, we did find that many people who are post-65, who already made this switch, want some assistance also in terms of how all this thing works. So we have changed our focus a little bit, whereby we're not only talking to people who are transitioning into Medicare, but also for anyone who is currently on Medicare and wants a little refresher on how things work and be able to update it. Because you do, similar to when you were on Chrysler corporate insurance, you do have the option to make changes, either on an annual basis or even with some situations on a month-by-month basis. So welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I don't know whether I introduced myself. My name is Howard Barron. I worked in the finance office and retired in 2010. And we do have some other presenters who will be coming up today. We have Paul Gritt. We have John Kaiser. So Paul was in the engineering office, and John Kaiser was with me in the finance office and have retired over the last number of years. So we are all part, along with a number of other compatriots here, we are all on the insurance committee. It's about 6 or 7 of us who are part of the 5,000 member NCRO team, and we play the kind of interface. We're the personnel department for you as retirees to understand how to work through the system through the via benefits and Benefit Connect. And if you have any issues, that's why we're here. But we also provide this seminar to assist people as they make these transitions. So we're going to be here for a few hours. There is a break about noontime or so. So what we're going to be doing now is kicking it off with Paul Gritt, and he's going to be going through kind of an overview of both Social Security, which is sort of a governmental pension system, and Medicare. So Paul, why don't you come up and start our presentations?
Okay, thank you, Howard. As Howard said, I was in the engineering area, brakes to be specific, retired in 2008. And we're going to start off and talk a little bit about Social Security. So,
the clicker.
Oh, there we go.
I think.
Click.
One more. It's advanced. Hang on just a second.
That's the white button, right?
I have to give its attention. Try it now.
There we go. Okay. So let's just talk about Social Security, which is a little more straightforward. And what are the timeline milestones you have to deal with? The earliest you can accept or take Social Security benefits is 62. But if you take them starting at 62, you will get less money per month than if you wait until you're older or your full retirement age, which we'll get to in a minute. So your benefit, your monthly benefit will go up every month that you delay until you're 70 years old. At 70 years old, you're getting as much as you're going to get, and there's no point in delaying any past that. So whether you delay or not is, of course, a function of your own personal economic situation, and to be not too morbid about it, what your probability is of living how long after you retire. So there isn't really too much you have to do for Social Security. A couple of months before you turn 62, you go online to ssa.gov and you put in your personal information, and they have a calculator which will show you what your monthly benefits are depending on what age you start to take your benefits. So that's pretty straightforward, and if that doesn't work, you can always call their toll-free number. Now, there's something called full retirement age. Now, this is significant only if you're planning on doing significant work after you're on Social Security. Because before you reach full retirement age, which is a function of when you were born, as you can see by that chart on the left, before you reach full retirement age, if you make more than $19,000 a year, you will lose $1 of Social Security benefits for every $2 you make. The year that you're going to reach full retirement age, that number goes up to $51,000, and you lose $1 for every $3 you make. Once you reach full retirement age, you can make as much as you want. Social Security doesn't care anymore. So you can see by when you were born, when you'll reach your full retirement age, and you can see it's a staggered chart, pretty straightforward. If you don't plan on doing a whole bunch of work when you're retired, no big deal. So now you come to the more important question, which is, okay, when should I start taking Social Security? And you can see here, if you were born between 43 and 54, whoops, you'll get 100% of your Social Security benefit when you're 66, and if you wait till 70, you'll get 132%. And that varies by when you were born, and that's where that calculator on the government website comes in handy to figure it out so you can make an informed decision. And this decision is separate for you and your wife or your spouse. And the other thing to be aware of, so anyway, this is what I call a break-even chart. And what I did is I took, assuming you started at 62, and you started then, and I added up the total amount of money you would receive every year, and that's what that blue line is. If you waited until you were 66, that's the orange line, and you can see that they cross out here at about 77 and a half. So that says if you live till 77 and a half, even if you delayed, started taking at 66, the total amount of dollars you would have received in either case is the same. If you waited until you were 70, the break-even point is a few years further on. So that's kind of the trade-off you need to make to decide when you want to start taking your Social Security benefit. So again, the basic takeaways from this presentation are, one, don't automatically say, oh, I'm 62, I'm going to take Social Security because I'm eligible now. May or may not be the right decision for your particular situation. So you want to explore all the options. You go to this website, that's the link there. And all of this will be on our website, so you don't have to take notes. The other thing is that you and your spouse do not have to take Social Security at the same age. There's also another feature, which is if one of the two of you made significantly more money than the other, so that your Social Security benefits were significantly higher than your spouse's, the spouse can choose to either take their own benefit based on their earnings, or they can take one half of yours. That was the case in my case. My wife was a preschool teacher. Her income was quite a bit lower, so her Social Security benefit based on her income was lower than half of mine, so she ends up taking half of mine. And that's a choice, that's something you can make. It's pretty straightforward. So that's about it on Social Security. That's the 10-minute version. No particular questions? Okay, that's good. You can always ask questions later.
We're going to take questions at the end of the presentation.
Okay.